Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denonu, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And with this video here, we're gonna be returning back to the Infinity War review that I put off for a little bit, only because I wanted to get other videos out of the way, and I just didn't want to make 5 or 6 videos in a row, all of the same thing, since everybody was talking about Infinity War, so I broke it up a little bit. But with this video here, I'm gonna be giving my thoughts on, I guess you can call it Team Thor, and their part of the story, what they had to do, and just my opinions on it, really. I'm gonna try not to do things beat for beat, but since that's what I did with the last ones, and that seems to run on a whole hell of a lot, so we're gonna try to shorten things down a little bit. But in this one here, Thor doesn't, have his hammer, since he lost it in Ragnarok, and he pretty much, him and the Asgardians, so to speak, they get their asses handed to him by Thanos. And Thor's the only one left. He gets knocked into the Guardians as they're reading this distress call. And one thing I want to point out, I wish that they did that scene a little bit better. I feel like they may have changed some things up, because it would have made more sense to have the Guardians respond to Xandar getting invaded by Thanos for the Power Stone. It would have made a whole lot more sense that way. But I guess maybe you had to have, if that's where you wanted to take the story, you had to have them meet Thor. You had to have them get to that point, at least, near Earth. So you can't take them across one part of the galaxy, learn that Xandar got messed up, then how would they know where Thanos is? So that kind of makes a whole lot of sense. Like if you're gonna have Thor meet up with the Guardians, you have to, have them clash at some point. And I figured that, yeah, the other way would have worked better, but this was a good, I guess a better way to do it, because that forces that confrontation. But I think story-wise, it would have been better if you went the other way around. But once they figured that out, Thor's like, oh, who the hell are you guys? And then you had, I love that scene between between Thor and Starlord, where he was changing his voice because everybody was talking about how manly Thor was. And then you had you had Starlord trying to copy his voice and things like that. I thought that scene was like hilarious. It's like one of the best scenes in the movie to me. But then they have a plan to go make Thor's hammer, and they split up. Starlord and Gamora, they go to try to get to the Collector, Benicio del Toro, to try to get the Power Stone from him. Oh wait, not the Power Stone, the other stone, what do they call it? The Reality Stone, the Ether, the one from Thor 2. And Thor and Rocket and Groot go to what do they call it? Nidavellir? Yeah. Anyway, the place where Thor makes his hammer. They go there and meet up with the dwarves there, and it was Peter Dinklage's character. And I love the twist of them making the dwarf really, really big, because even in in the Marvel comic books, they're dwarves, typical dwarves, big beards. All they do is like to party and drink, and they make really good weapons. But they're still dwarves, typical dwarves. They're like 2 feet tall or 3 feet tall, something like that. And but I guess when I don't know what made them make that change to make him like super big, but I thought that was a unique twist that I personally wasn't suspecting and everything. So like that a lot too. The only thing that kind of bugged me about that whole scene is I feel that it kind of went a little bit too long. Not to say that it wasn't bad, but that scene had like 3 different segments to it. You had like them getting there, them seeing what happened and be like, oh, we need to forge this hammer. And then it was like, oh, okay, well, in order to forge the hammer, we got to do this. And I feel like they could have cut out half of that beginning segment of them getting there and walking around for a little bit, and half of that scene of Thor getting into position where he had to take the sun to his back. I feel like they could have cut that down a little bit, but I felt that kind of dragged on a little bit too long. Not a whole lot for me personally, only because I could watch it all day, but I know a lot of people are talking about that, and they feel that scene is kind of lingered a little bit too long. Outside of that, Thor's return to Earth after he gets Mjolnir, not Mjolnir, Stormbreaker. I thought that was pretty good too. I like the fact that they kind of made it look like Thor's ultimate hammer. It looks a little bit different, but I'm glad to see that, you know, they actually made it look like that, and they used Groot's arm to do it. That was something else that was kind of unique, because I was wondering at the end of the movie, because I'm assuming once Marvel reboots or whatever they decide to do, I know they're not going to be rebooting, but after the next movie, I'm going to assume Thor gets Mjolnir back some type of way. Only because that's so iconic with his character. Maybe they can have him keep the new one. That would be just fine as well. But I feel like if they wanted to bring back Thor's hammer, they could. If they're going to do some time travel, reality warping, whatever it is that they decide to do, they can easily just say, hey, look, Hela didn't destroy his hammer and he still has it. Maybe if what Marvel wanted to do, I don't particularly like it this way, but if they wanted to bring this in, you could have do the whole Lady Thor thing. But you can't really do Jane Foster unless they just recasted somebody. Then they could do Jane Foster as Lady Thor with Mjolnir and have her set of movies, you know, and do different stuff with her, while Thor has the regular Stormbreaker and going on with that, and have him be just, you know, Mighty Thor versus just, you know, Lady Thor, or, you know, whatever they decide to call her. Or if they did want to recast for damn, I just said her name and lost it that quickly. Jane Foster, yeah. If they didn't want to do Jane Foster as Thor, they could, I guess, if they wanted to, give Mjolnir to Valkyrie, because I'm assuming she's still out there somewhere. She wasn't on the ship, and I'm assuming half of the Asgardians on that ship got away, because Thanos only killed half of everybody he came across, not everybody. So I'm assuming they're still out there somewhere, or maybe they escaped, and before all of them could escape, that's when Thanos kind of popped in there and wrecked the other half of them. So I'm assuming she's out there somewhere. They could go with her, but that would kind of take away from what Thor is. So I don't know if they're gonna willing to do that. Maybe down the road when Chris Hemsworth doesn't want to be Thor anymore. But I think he's still at least willing to do, you know, more movies and things like that. He's not opposed to it. And he's still young enough to where he can do it. Outside of that, though, I mean, they can really go in a lot of different directions as far as his character and Stormbreaker, because they can give him Mjolnir back if they just wanted to give him his hammer back, and then have Stormbreaker get broken or whatever, and then give that to Beta Ray Bill, because he was kind of like a thing in Ragnarok where he was on that building totem thing with all of the other contest champions. So technically, I guess you can say he does exist, or at least a Corbinite exists, you know. So if they really wanted to bring in Beta Ray Bill, they have to have him with a hammer, because otherwise, what's the point? So I'm assuming if they wanted to do Beta Ray Bill, you know, down there at some point, which a lot of people want them to do, that would be the way to do it as well. In the next movie, have, you know, Stormbreaker get broken, give it to Beta Ray Bill down the line so he can, you know, get his powers and stuff from it, and then reality warp Thor his hammer back. There you go. Problem solved with that. Outside of that, though, Thor with his new hammer, I think was pretty good. I think it kind of invalidates what happens in Thor Ragnarok, because the whole thing of that was, oh, like, what are you, the god of hammers? You know, he didn't need hammers to, in order to wield his powers like that. So it's kind of like, I don't know, you know, because they showed him with the hammer wrecking Thanos and doing all this badass shit, but you could have did that before with the lightning. So why did you need the hammer? You know, that I felt kind of weird. That was kind of, I'm not gonna say it was a plot hole, but it was one of those things where I thought about it, was like, well, if Thor has the power of lightning, then, and, you know, lightning and technically heat, I guess you could say, then what's the point, and why does he need a hammer at all? Just, I mean, unless he just wanted to chop down trees or something. So I guess that's one of the things where maybe the directors weren't talking to each other when they were making the movies, and they didn't know where the guy was going to take Thor Ragnarok when he was making it, because they was already filming their movie. Same difference with Black Panther. I think that's the reason why, at least in this movie, he didn't get a lot of play, because Marvel probably didn't think his movie was going to do a whole lot, and then it blew up and did what it did. So I'm guessing that's, part of the same thing. But outside of that, I mean, the Guardians with them working with Thor, I thought that was pretty cool. It was something that I would have never expected them to do. Only because they just seem like two completely different cast of characters. I thought that Tony Stark was gonna get along with Starlord and everything, because they're both like similar archetypes, but that wasn't the case. And the person I would least compare him to would be Thor, because Thor is always just one way. Maybe after Ragnarok now I think differently, but before Ragnarok, Thor was always just this one type of character. So I didn't think he was gonna play off the Guardians a whole hell of a lot. Even when they had that little teaser drop last year around this time, where they had that opening Guardian scene where he was like, who the hell are you guys? Even that felt kind of stiff, until after you seen that, and then you had the follow-up lines to go with that scene, and that's when things kind of lightened up in the movie, at least. But when I first seen that, I was like, oh, that feels kind of stiff. I'm not sure if Thor's gonna gel right with their characters and how they are, but I'll be damned if that shit didn't work. One thing that I didn't like is I didn't like how easily Thor just came back with the hammer and just like stabbed Thanos all the shit. I mean, Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet. Like, I know they nerf everybody in the movies, don't get me wrong. Like, they nerf Thor, they nerf probably everybody besides Captain America. They nerf their powers and abilities, so to speak, to make them, I guess, manageable. Like, Thor should be like damn near unbeatable in every movie he's in, outside of Thanos. Like, that's how strong Thor is. Even when Thor fights the Hulk, like, the Hulk is strong, but even movie Hulk is nowhere near as strong as like comic book Hulk. He's not gonna go World War Hulk with somebody. But it's just one of those things where I just think that they could have did a whole lot more with that. Like, if they bumped up Thor's power set and other people's power sets, they can actually have them do some truly epic stuff. But then I guess that would take away them working as a team and all of that. So maybe that's why they did it. But I figure Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, he's a powerful threat all by himself. So Thor just by himself fighting Thanos, no. I don't see him just wrecking his shit like he did in the movie. I mean, granted, it's their movie, their universe, they can do whatever they want. But maybe before he got that Infinity Gauntlet, I would say, you know what? Yeah, maybe. Thor's on that level. But afterwards, hell no. Hell no. It seems like the Infinity Gauntlet in this movie is not even a quarter of it is in the comic books. In the comic books, the Infinity Gauntlet, once you had it and you had all of that stuff, you had, what did they call it in Marvel comic books? I forget the term for it that they use in comic books, but it's basically where you have, I'm not going to say instant knowledge, but you have, what do they call it? Because the word I'm looking for explains what it is. But it's basically when you have that gauntlet, and certain celestials and celestial bodies, like embodiments like of the universe and those galactic cosmic level people in Marvel comic books, they all have it too. But it's basically that instant awareness where you know everything that's going on in the universe at that time. So if Thor was building his hammer and Thanos is on Earth, he's gonna be like, okay, I know Thor's building his hammer to come fuck me up. That's the kind of knowledge you're dealing with. So Thor like attacking him and killing him, he would already see it coming and would already have a way to defend against it, or hell, at that point you have the Infinity Gauntlet. You don't need to defend yourself against that. Like, he could just wave his hand and guess what? Thor's hammer is like a twig. That's the kind of power you're dealing with. And they just really didn't show that off a whole hell of a lot in the movie, except in that one scene where you had Gamora and Starlord attack him at nowhere and everything. Which was really cool. I like the fact that was a throwback to the comic books when he first did that to it was Nebula and somebody else he did that to in the comic books. Like that too. But outside of that though, I mean, their whole part in the overall story, it was probably one of the better parts of the movie, honestly. It kind of carried that middle part of the movie when Thanos was collecting the stones and everything like that. I remember when I seen the trailer, I thought that was going to be like the second part of the movie. I thought that they were going to, like, you know, get to Earth, and while everybody was fighting on Earth, they were going to go to space and then do that, and then they were going to come back to Earth and then do that fight at Wakanda. But that's not how the movie turned out. They kind of split up that scene with Titan and the scenes with Thor and the Guardians and everything. They kind of split that 50-50. I wasn't expecting that. I thought that Wakanda scene was going to be like Thanos getting the last stone and then having to fight everybody on Titan, you know, or at least the core Avengers and, you know, things like that on Titan. I thought he was going to pimp smack Captain America's shield and have it break and shatter, just like he did in the comic books and just like they kind of foresaw from Avengers 2. But none of that really happened. I'm kind of upset. I'm still hoping we get that shield breaking scene that was in the comic books, because to me that was like the snap, you know, that was like the, you know, seeing that on cinematic form. But like him backhanding Captain America's shield and just destroying it, that would be like that one moment in the movie where you're like, oh shit, this indestructible shield that's been indestructible for like 10 plus years in all these movies gets backhanded like a little bitch and gets broken. I think that'd be really cool to see, and I'm hoping they do that in the next one. But also in the next video here, speaking about the next one, I'm unsure of what to talk about next. I want to talk about Thanos in general. I know he's going to be a video all by himself, but I'm unsure whether to do that next and like in the next one, or maybe save that one for last, along with like my opinions and where I think they, you know, where I think they can take the next movie and after that and things like that. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. My name is Denonu, the man with the biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.